Yeah, that's a story I'm definitely going to want to hear at some point. Because holy smokes, that's a cool looking bottle that we're not even going to talk about right now.
No, sir.
Because by golly, we're going to get into something else.
What are we talking about?
We're going to talk about something. Welcome to the Savor the Burn podcast. Dear listener, my name is Jonathan. Across the table from me is the getting better hand of Mr. W2. He's been going through some surgery, dealing with some things. It's all right. He's going to be all right. He's going to be ready to go by December 9th at Voodoo Lounge. But whatever. Until then, we'll just put that down and come back to that later, if we even come back to it at all. Because personal business is personal business. But yeah, thank you for listening to your podcast app of choice. Please continue to follow along on all of our socials, including but not limited to, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or X, Instagram, and TikTok. And I think that's all of them, right? We go
Sure.
4, or do we have 5? I think it's just those 4.
Yeah.
Facebook, X, Twitter X, whatever, Instagram,
TikTok.
and TikTok. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I think that's all of them. How many more do we need for a little podcast like ours?
I'm good.
Yeah, right? Anyway, so thank you for listening to us on your podcast app of choice. Rest in peace, Stitcher. But be sure to stop at is YouTube a social media?
Oh, I guess technically, yeah.
I guess it is.
Yep.
Yeah. And if you haven't yet, you're running out of time. Stop by our YouTube channel on YouTube, Savor the Burn, and hit the subscribe button, and you are automatically entered into a giveaway. We're giving away the bar toolkit that you can find on savortheburn.com/shop. It's right there in the shop. An assortment of bar tools that you can find it's got the shaker, it's got the stir stick, it's got a couple pour spouts. Chances are hopefully you've seen it on a few of our different socials. So you can see what it is that we're going to get into. But you won't get that one. The one we're going to give away has been untouched by human hands. Not the one that we put our fat fingers all over. So thank you. Anyway, so you, Mr. W2, you made for us a beautiful cocktail here.
I'm excited about this one.
What the hell's in here?
This is those who have...
if you were listening last week,
yep.
then you know what this is today.
Yeah, so we just recently tried the Angel's Envy straight bourbon finished in port barrel, and then we tried the Angel's Envy rye finished in Caribbean Rum Cask. And so this is a cocktail that I pulled off directly off of Angel Envy's website. Like we've talked about before, I've kind of gotten used to making sure as I've been looking at and figuring out what cocktail is going to work well with what we're trying, I've made a point to go back to the kind of the manufacturer's website, the origin, in this case, Angel Envy's, and see what cocktails that they have, because the cocktails that they have on their website are specifically paired to their whiskeys.
Yeah.
And this is one that they had a couple that listed as you could do the rye or you could do the bourbon. This is one that they specifically had for their rye whiskey finished in Caribbean Rum Casks. So, one, it was a new recipe that we had not tried before.
Definitely not.
And 2, it was one specific to this one. And what also makes this unique is, we've had a handful of cocktails like the Manhattan, like the Boulevardier.
Yeah.
That
Classic.
has sweet vermouth in it. This one has sweet vermouth in it, but this one has an ounce of cognac in it. And we've had a couple different whiskeys finished in cognac casks, but we've never had that as an ingredient in a cocktail. So this has the rye, the cognac, the sweet vermouth, and just a couple dashes of the Angostura bitters,
which are definitely good.
Yeah. It's the, as far as bitters go, it's kind of the industry standard. When you're talking about bitters, you're usually talking about the Angostura aromatic bitters. And they also make the orange bitters. Yeah.
They make so many different kinds.
And then we've garnished it with a very thin shoestring size lemon twist garnish on here. And so
a little bit of a spiral of a lemon peel. Zest.
Presented, stirred, not shaken.
Right.
And then
Don't want to
strained.
anger the spirits.
Don't want to anger these spirits. And then strained and poured into our chilled coupe glass.
Yep.
We chill
Don't be a poop. Freeze your coop.
Freeze your coop.
Yeah, so while you were stirring it for 25 seconds, I was running my happy ass up the stairs and getting them out of your freezer. So good. So
I'm trying to make a point to get some no's on this because, like we've talked about before, cocktails, I usually just skip right on past that because I'm ready to get on it.
Yeah, it's citrus forward.
I mean, just that little shoestring lemon twist adds just a little bit of citrus right there on top.
Yeah, and one of them we put in the glass before you even poured over it. Well, I'm happy with the nose. Let's go. Let's get into it. Cheers to you.
Clank.
There we go. That's good enough.
I will say before I get on this, I was very excited that the strain and pour on this came out pretty darn crystal clear.
It did come out crystal clear. It's very, very, very dark amber-like. Let me try this here.
Oh my goodness, I can get behind that.
Yeah,
that's pretty delightful.
Wow. When you were pouring it, I was like, this looks like a very well done Manhattan.
I mean, it's very well reminiscent.
Old-fashioned, but it's not.
This is called the Saratoga.
Yeah.
And the write-up on this from Angel's Envy says, a lost classic. A leisurely drink from a time when American vacations were full of vice.
Okay.
The Saratoga cocktail is reminiscent of its namesake legacy. A riff on the Manhattan. It's a drink that both whiskey lovers and brandy lovers are sure to enjoy.
I'm not a big fan of brandy straight, but brandy in a cocktail? All right. Let's hang out. Let's try it.
That's the cognac.
Yeah.
I mean, your cognac is your brandy.
Yeah, the brandy I've had has been like super like maple forward, and it's just been too strong in a bad way. But thrown in a cocktail with some other things, yeah, absolutely. Let's party.
Whoop whoop.
Maybe less whoop whoop, and more like let's be a little more sophisticated. Maybe not quite pinkies up, but definitely this is definitely a contender for the next birthday bash. If you make a batch of this, it would be
that's the
it'd
thing.
Be a hit.
I think there is no citrus actually in it.
Right, it's just the garnish.
So you very well could do a freezer door batch of this.
Yeah. If you want to do that at home, it doesn't have to be for a party. It could just be for you, And if you make it a freezer door batch, it'll keep. Yep. It'll stay in there for months and months, and probably never go bad. Mm-hmm. Very good. Man. Have you had a Saratoga before?
I have not. This is first.
I'm wondering what they're talking about, it being a cocktail reminiscent of its namesake legacy. I don't understand that. Do you? Is there something behind
I don't.
This? What is?
Do we know what Saratoga means?
What's the whole Saratoga thing about?
So, a lost classic?
Yeah. I'm going to fire up the Google machine.
Do it.
Let's see I'm just going to type in Saratoga. Let's see what comes up. Toga. Well, I just typed in Saratoga and hit the Google button. Mm-hmm. And one of the search results is what is the meaning of the word Saratoga? And it says Saratoga is a corruption of a Mohawk word. It was the name of Indian hunting grounds located along both sides of the Hudson River. According to the town's history, it derives from Saratoga, Tagui, I don't know, meaning the hillside country of the quiet river. Lovely. But then you scroll up a little bit. It says, what is Saratoga famous for? Saratoga Springs is known as the Queen of the Spas. Quote, Queen of the Spas. It has a rich heritage as a health resort and gambling center for much of the 19th and 20th centuries.
Is that the vacation full of vice?
I guess so. And then it goes back far here. During the Paleozoic era, a series of faults or cracks split the underlying bedrock, creating fissures through which water is forced its way to the surface. So I'm guessing there's some hot springs along there too. So I guess that would coincide with the spas. So lovely. With attractions including naturally carbonated mineral spas, harness racing and polo, 15 golf courses around the county, 10 historic museums, and an award-winning downtown. It's no wonder Saratoga Springs is a nationally recognized destination.
Check that out.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful picture of this here cocktail.
I like it.
I like it too. I like it a lot. I don't have any complaints.
No.
I appreciate what it's got going on with it, what it's bringing to the table. I'm not wowed by it, but I'm happy with it for sure. It's got a lot of citrus. It's got a depth of flavor. The cognac, I think, brings that deep maple-esque sweetness to the cocktail. Because there was no sugar added to it, no syrups, no nothing. It's just it relies on the sweetness of the spirits available.
And I completely agree. It is definitely a riff on a Manhattan.
Think so?
Yeah, I mean
what makes a Manhattan a Manhattan?
Your Manhattan is your rye, sweet vermouth.
A Manhattan is a cocktail made with whiskey, sweet vermouth, and bitters.
So there is bitters.
While rye is the traditional whiskey of choice, other commonly used whiskeys include Canadian whiskey, bourbon, blended whiskey, and Tennessee whiskey.
Yep.
But yeah, so it's just, generally speaking, it's a cocktail made with whiskey, sweet vermouth, and bitters.
And the last Manhattan we did was the High West double rye whiskey.
Okay.
We did 2 ounces of rye, 1 ounce vermouth, 2 dashes of Angostura bitters.
Okay. And this one here, we only did 1.
It was just the 1. Well, we bumped it up for the size of the coupe. We bumped up to 1.5.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, and you still end up with sweet vermouth. This actually has a little bit more sweet vermouth than Manhattan, and then the addition of the cognac. And don't forget, this was done with a rye whiskey that's finished in that Caribbean rum cask. So you're getting that banana bread. This is really good. I like this a lot.
Yeah, this would be a great candidate for a go-to cocktail, especially if it's one of the freezer door mixes that you make ahead of time. Yeah, the High West double rye was only 90 proof, and this is 100 proof. So when we made that cocktail, of course, yeah, you would need a little bit more. I don't know if you need to double it in comparison to what we did here, but it was definitely a good cocktail. And yeah, that's where we first talked about how a Manhattan is traditionally made with a rye. And so using the Angel's Envy with rye, the Angel's Envy rye with everything it had to offer. I mean, it had like kind of a toasted marshmallow to it. It had
all that kind of falls away with this cocktail.
Yeah, with this cocktail, it seems like the citrus notes have kind of taken center stage with this.
Some of the herbal notes that come from the vermouth, I think, are kind of there. The cognac, which I'm not really a big cognac fan, so I don't have a lot of experience drinking cognac.
I don't either.
I think cognac is a sweet spirit.
Yeah.
There's a sweetness with that, which I think is.
I mean, I have had cognac, like Hennessy.
Yeah.
But I haven't. I'm not going to run out and buy the T-shirt. Like I've bought more bottles of Hennessy probably than I can count just to give away to friends for their birthdays and stuff. But I think I've bought myself 1 bottle and probably finished it at band practice and forced it on everybody else in the room. Y'all want that Henny?
Come on now,
let's fucking bang on the strings and make some drum beat.
I ain't taking the bottle home.
Right,
help me out.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're always happy to oblige. Yeah, we had we were talking earlier, I don't know if it was off mic or not, but we were talking about the Jim Beam Black Label, the extra aged, and it's aged like 8 years in comparison to the white label's 3, I think. But I brought another bottle of that to practice the other night, and it's probably the 3rd or 4th bottle that I brought of that specific one, the Black Label. And my drummer Eddie, he finally pipes up and he says, "This is really good. What is this? Is this new?" It's like, dude, I've been doing this. It's like, it's my new staple. It's my new fucking bottom line for basic ass bourbon. It's like, I brought this. You've had this several times. What are you doing?
This isn't standard. This is baseline.
This is my new standard for baseline bourbon. It's the Jim Beam Black Label. Where it always used to be white label, but I mean that Black Label's so much more developed. But that was a different episode. This is all about this here cocktail. The Saratoga, featuring the Angel's Envy rye, is pretty fucking top notch.
It's really interesting as I've kind of started really digging into different cocktail recipes and then getting very specific with the whiskey with the cocktails. Every whiskey out there, or I should say every distiller out there, and you go to their website and their cocktails, they all have their own variations on all of the standards. They all have their own spin on the old fashioned. They all have their own spin on a Manhattan. They all have their own spin on, down the line. And they had an old fashioned that looked really good, and I think it would have been fantastic. We might have to come back and try it just because it did sound good and we enjoyed this so much. Neat.
Yeah.
It warrants spreading it around and trying it out.
I would like to try this Saratoga with the last week when we were talking about the Angel's Envy rye. The note said something about bullet rye.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was 95% rye, 5% barley. Mm-hmm. And like what Bullet uses for their mash bill. So I would like to try this cocktail with the bullet rye and see how that turns out.
Yeah.
I bet it'd be good. It'd be a little more dry, a little less sweet, but I bet it would be a top notch.
Or maybe find
for a freezer door batch cocktail.
Or maybe find a rye, a like super high octane rye.
Yeah, is that one a rye? That's just single barrel.
This is not a rye. This is just I picked up
who is that? Jack Daniels.
I picked up my Jack Daniels single barrel. It's just a Tennessee whiskey. But I picked it up because, it is old man here. Let me put my readers on. 133.3 proof.
Holy smokes. I didn't know Jack Daniels had it in them.
I have on the calendar, off the top of my head, I don't remember what the date is, but we are actually going to do a high octane night.
Oh, dear.
And that's going to be part of it.
You didn't want to do it as a Jack Daniels flight?
I mean, maybe.
Why not do both? Yeah. Definitely not the same night.
133 proof.
I don't want to leave your house a little green behind the gills.
But like the...
I'm not swerving off the fur.
We've got in the collection that the Bookers.
Yeah.
That's 127 point something.
Uh-huh.
Other high octane. Oh, the Stag.
Yeah, the Stag. Yeah.
The Stag is also 126, 127. It's right there also.
Man, we're going to end up comparing whiskey to whiskey. It's not.
It's inevitable, I think.
Which is.
I feel we try hard not to.
We don't want to. We definitely don't want to, but we're going to end up doing it. Yeah. If it's going to be on the same night, and that's why we end up comparing so many things to so many other things. It's unintentionally, but it does happen.
That night in particular might be one that we get a little bit more liberal with our comparing because...
Okay.
Yeah. I mean...
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's high octane night, and we talk fast enough, we can put it all into one episode.
And if it doesn't say micro machines, it's not the real thing. Whatever happened to micro machines?
They quit making them, I think. I used to have the color changing micro machines. I remember going over to my great grandma's house with some that were mini micro machines. Well, they were all mini. There were micro machines that were color changing. So I'd fill up the bathroom sink full of hot water and throw them in there.
Thanks to Henry, I get to wander down the Hot Wheels aisle often. Because he's always needing a new monster truck or a new car or something. Man,
I remember I turned like maybe 24 or something, and my mom got me a shit ton of Hot Wheels for my birthday. I was like, Mom, I'm 24, not 4. What the hell?
I don't know. There's some cool high-end cars that are out there now. There's a whole new market / subgenre of Hot Wheels now where collectors take them. They take a little drill bit and they very carefully drill out the rivet that holds the body to the bottom. They take them apart, they repaint them, they detail the shit out of them. Mm-hmm. They put them back together. They put like real rubber wheels and tires on them.
Yeah.
And take it from a 3.5. Hot Wheels cars when I was growing up was like 79 cents. To $1, 99 cents, 79 cents. Just a plain Jane, the most basic Hot Wheels car these days is like $4.
Right, and they used to be like less than $1.
Yeah,
of course they used to be, but like even with inflation, that's astronomical.
But now you find these collector ones where people have like super detailed them out.
Yeah,
you can pay $15 to $50 for a Hot Wheels car.
Just for a car.
Yeah.
which is nuts. So what I really love is those car shows that you'll see on like, you know, Gearhead TV channel, whatever it may be. They have I knew you were gonna I thought you were gonna eat the damn thing. So
No.
what, dear listener, what you missed out on is like he drained the last bit of his cocktail.
So good.
And he looks in his glass like there's a hair in it or something. And I'm like, what's he looking at? Is there something in mine? Is there a bug in it? What the fuck? And he reaches in there, but what he's looking at is the shoestring lemon peel. And he just grabs it and puts it in his fucking mouth. And I thought for sure he was just going to eat the damn thing. Because usually with these cocktails, we'll take the dehydrated fruit of choice. And we'll fold it in half and we'll just bite that bastard and just eat it. Or we don't even fold it. I don't know. I fold mine in half and I eat the fruit part first and then I kind of nibble on the rind. But so anyway, so you just grab the damn thing. It's like nom nom nom. No, you suck the cocktail off of it.
Good to the last drop.
I got to quit putting it on that
Folgers.
That Flavier coaster. Anytime I pick up the cocktail from the coaster, it makes this sound. It slips off the bottom of the glass and lands hard. Well, going back to what you were talking about earlier, you were working on your rating. You were trying to get a good feel on the nose. Now that your glass is empty,
I was.
Where were you on the nose?
I was at 3.5.
I don't believe this. I rated the nose lower than you did.
What?
Yeah. It's like just half a point better than average at 3.
Okay. Well, I
wow. All right.
I like the nose on it.
Yeah.
But as a cocktail, I felt like the nose just kind of fell flat.
Yeah, right. Well,
flat compared to...
I think by design, when it comes to a cocktail, the nose is not the selling point.
Absolutely.
So it's always going to fall flat.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it.
The lemon garnish pushes it up a little bit.
Definitely.
But yeah, I just felt like it wasn't the nose that the rye Caribbean rum cask neat in the Glencairn glass had on its own. So yeah, 3.5. You were at 3.
Yeah, I was at 3, which is, I think maybe that's happened once before. Rarely, I doubt it's ever happened twice.
Yeah.
Well, until today. The palate, I gave it a 4.
I was at a 4 also.
Wow, look at that. We meet again. So yeah, for me, every flavor is present. It's well balanced, I think, with the sweetness from the Angel's Envy rye meets
very much so
the depth of flavor you get from the cognac and the sweet vermouth. Everything blends well, and you didn't stir it for that long. I don't think.
No.
I'm sure you probably ended up stirring it for more than the recommended 25 seconds. Because it takes me a while to hop my happy ass up the stairs and dig around in your freezer and then come all the way back down.
I think we had about a minute's worth of stir.
Yeah. Which, I mean, probably would have upped the proof of this cocktail had we already had the cocktail glasses down here. But, I mean, the frost on the outside of the cocktail glass adds something to it. Adds something to the presentation.
100%.
And the presentation, I gave it a 5.
Hey, you skipped again. Finish.
What? Fuck! The finish, you were waiting for me, weren't you?
I was.
The finish, I gave it a 4, just like the palate.
Okay. I started out giving it a 4, but then I bumped it back to 3 3/4.
Okay.
Just because.
Why the quarter point slide?
The finish was still great.
Yeah. Still good. If it was great, it'd be a 5.
True statement. I loved everything about it. I just didn't feel like there was a wow factor.
Part of me wanted you to argue with me just then. If it was great, it'd be a 5. I'm like, I was expecting, all right, motherfucker. You put words in my mouth. I'm going to return the favor.
Throwing these mitts down. Let's go.
Fucking dick noggin. All right. So anyway, so you gave it a 3 3/4?
3 3/4. Yep.
Okay. And what was it that dropped it from a 4 to 3 3/4?
The wow factor just was not there with the finish.
You got to have the wow factor. It is very important. Yeah. So I've already shown my hand on the presentation. It was a 5 for me because you made it, and I'm a big fan of your work, and I can't say that it wasn't an amazing looking cocktail.
So give me 1 second.
Okay. You're doing some math, but I'm not looking for the overall rating. I'm just looking for the presentation.
I know.
Oh, okay. All right.
But, so, as we were sitting here and I was looking through the photos that I snapped.
Right. You have to admit, the presentation was really cool. When the light hit the cocktail and showed back up on the bottom, like on the table surface.
It
added to it.
And so
That's part of the presentation for me.
So I originally wrote down 4.5 for my presentation.
Okay.
Again, I have yet to give any of my own cocktails a 5.
Okay.
But
we are our own worst critic.
Right. But as I was kind of flipping through the photos, I've got one photo that I'm very excited about. That top view.
Okay.
Showing a little bit of that spiral of the garnish in the glass. That caused me to bump it to a 4 3/4.
Okay. All right.
Still not a 5, but we're getting closer.
Nothing.
Cool.
You've never created anything that you're super, 10 out of 10 proud of.
I'm gonna get there.
Except for maybe your kids.
I got 3 10 out of 10s.
Don't. Okay, I was gonna say don't fucking argue with me. If they listen to this, they're gonna be all butthurt, and then I'm gonna have to deal with it because I led you to it. Overall rating.
That landed me at an overall 8.0.
How the hell did we end up at the same overall rating?
Shut the door.
Yeah. A 3, 4, 4, and a 5 brings me at an 8. And I said, I wrote a little, review here at the end of it, as I try to do. A great candidate for a freezer door batch cocktail. This cocktail will happily satisfy your formal or informal tastes. Grab a bottle of Angel's Envy Rye and try it today.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
Cheers, sir.
Yeah. All points added up to 16, divided in half is an 8. There we go.